Damn, you guys have great energy. Did you see my nipples just immediately got hard? You guys just like did, you guys did that. I look like I've been through a pandemic. Like, I just do. People look at me and they're like, yep, he really went for it. He really went for this one. This is my big fear. My big fear is that when I go back out in the world that I don't know how to interact with people anymore. Anybody else? I see a lot of nods right now. Yeah, you got it. That's true. Yeah, that's my big fear, man. Because I lived alone for so much of it, and my first time out, I was flying, and I was at LAX, and I was in the bathroom, and I was washing my hands, and in the bathroom stall behind me, I heard a loud fart, and out loud, I said, "Nice." Like a freak. I was just so desperate to make a new friend. The dude in the stall behind me just went, "Come on, bro." And he was right. What did I think was gonna happen? I was gonna be like, nice, and he was gonna be like, yes! Then the door slowly opens, he's just sitting there. Where are we going? Pittsburgh. We just go on adventures, become best friends. Because part of my problem too is that I did a lot of drugs over the. I was supposed to go to a bachelor party and I had all of these mushrooms that I was keeping, and then it got canceled, and then I was like, well, these are gonna expire. Somebody has to do these. There's clearly these things, right? And so I did them, and man, I've changed. I don't actually think that's true. I think that that's the problem with the rhetoric around mushrooms. Are you guys a mushroom crowd? Who's done mushrooms? Everyone? That's the most Los Angeles response. I'll go to other places. One guy will clap in LA. Everyone's like, you want to go to Joshua Tree right now? We can just go right now. Does anybody have them on them? Let's make this show fucking weird. But here's the rhetoric around mushrooms that I don't like, is that people act like they're going to make you a better person, or that they're gonna make you smarter, and that's all from Silicon Valley, because like very famously, Steve Jobs would do mushrooms and he would like come up with new Apple products. But I don't think mushrooms expand your mind, I think they reveal your mind. Like me, the first time I did mushrooms, the only idea I had was that when I threw up, I buried it like a dog. I was like, I'm a genius. Can we bring this to Shark Tank? Sharks, blah. The last time I did them with friends, I thought I was gonna, I brought my notebook with me, and in a page of my notebook, I wrote ideas, which was so ambitious. Making it plural was ambitious, the colon was ambitious, the whole thing was ambitious. And the next morning I woke up, and there's only one idea written in my notebook, and it was this. It was, we should have a place where we can rent books. And then under that I wrote, game changer. $, $. The worst part of that isn't any of that. That's all pretty bad. But the worst part of that for me was that the way I found out I did this was I woke up the next morning with a text from my ex-girlfriend that said, why would you send me this? And I guess I sent her a picture message of that as if to say, oh, you're gonna leave me? The man who invented the library? The guy who invented the library did not make $, $. It was always a public service. I am scared about the interactions thing because it's like I'm good with people, but I always have to think about it. So when I have one of those moments where I can't think, it's bad. Like I have a bad gut. Like I have a really bad intuition. My brain's, well, I just told you my idea, so my brain isn't great, but I was about to say my brain's great, but it's not. So it's like, do you guys have a good gut? Cheer if you have a good gut. Cheer if you have a bad gut. Yeah, I have a bad one, man. I have anxiety, I have things. My gut ideas aren't always great. That's why I've read books to try to like deal with that, and I try to think about things. So when people say go with your gut, I'm like, that is terrible advice for me. It's terrible. It's terrible. My gut never has good ideas. Like, I'm a really happy guy. I'm lucky. I got the happy chemicals. I was born with that. I'm very lucky. But you know how many times a day something small will go wrong and my gut will just tell me to end it all? I'll never do it, but my gut wants me to. Like the other day I was in a Trader Joe's and a cute girl waved at me, so I waved back. But then I realized she was not waving at me, she was waving at the guy behind me. And my gut was just like, we die tonight. My brain was like, it doesn't feel like that big of a deal. My gut's like, I already started the note, so what do you want? It's so bad, it just overreacts to everything. When I first start dating someone, it's a nightmare. My gut's a nightmare. My gut's always like, text her again. And my brain's like, don't do it, man. And my gut's like, text her again. And my brain's like, that's a lot of blue. That's your color. And then my gut's like, text her again. Then I listen to my gut. And the second I press send, my gut's like, break your phone. Break your phone, move to the woods. We made a mistake. We're a woodsman now. We're not good at woods. I do like guts though, because I think there's a layer of honesty to them. I think there's it honestly reveals something, at least. Like it reveals that I have anxiety. That's why I love fights. I love when two dudes get in a fight. It's one of my favorite things in the world. I don't like violence. It's systemic. It's bad. I don't like that. But I like fights. I just do. I love fights. I think there's honesty to it that you don't always see elsewhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, have you ever seen two dudes in a fight in a bar and just learned something about them? Just really going for it. Just that. I got in a fight once, and it's one of my favorite things that's ever happened to me, because you learned a lot about me and you learned a lot about him. So I was at a bar, and this dude he called my friend fat, and I was like, don't call her that. And then he was like, you want to go? And I was like, yes, I would love to leave. I would love to leave. Let's call me an Uber right now. Let's get me out of here. But then he followed up. He was like, hey man, you want to take this outside? And I got really confused because we already were outside. I was like, you want to go more outside? We could go to the mountains or something. Throw down like men. And then he did so many amazing things in a row. The first thing this dude did was he took off his shirt and he flexed. You ever see that where a dude does that at the beginning of a fight? He took off his shirt and he flexed, and this dude had a great body. Yum yum. All my friends who were there said I got into fighting position, but they saw me bite my lower lip. I was ready to fight, but my face just said, Daddy. He had that thing where all his muscles were separated. You know that? Where all the I could just played him like that. I could have just, it was so good. He had all the canals, and I call them canals because I imagined myself swimming down them. And I imagined myself swimming because I was wet. This dude was hot. He was so hot. He was so hot. So he took off his shirt and he flexed, and then this dude yelled at the top of his lungs, just because I went to art school doesn't mean I'm a bitch. And I thought that was amazing. First of all, that he followed his dreams. Good for you, man. But I think we should all have to do that before we fight. Just yell out our weirdest insecurity. You know, the reason we're probably actually fighting. I love what this dude did because he undressed physically, then undressed emotionally. He was like, hey man, you've seen me, but before we fight, you really need to see me. I like all types of fights because you can learn a lot. I've learned a lot in verbal fight. I love a good verbal fight. My favorite verbal fight I've ever seen was, and I learned a lot here, and I didn't expect to learn a lot here because it was in a rest stop Chipotle. And it was this is the crown jewel of my life. I walk into a rest stop Chipotle, and a lady's yelling at the burrito maker, and the burrito maker is yelling back. They're just screaming at each other. And I am already thrilled. I'm like, great, my day is made. Great day for me. And the lady's like, hey, remake my burrito. And the burrito maker's like, I'm not gonna remake your burrito, you're yelling at me. And that's when the first lady was like, yeah, well then I'm gonna write a negative Yelp review about this place. Which is when the burrito maker said the coolest thing I've heard in my entire life. She just said, bitch, we Chipotle. Is that not the most empowering thing you've ever heard? Know your worth. Know your worth, bitch, we Chipotle? Are you kidding me? That is my whole morning affirmations now. I wake up, I wash my face, I look in the mirror, and I say, Brad, we Chipotle, baby. Know your worth. The only way that could have been any cooler would be if she reached out, grabbed the burrito, squeezed everything out of it, threw the husk back, and said, no one will ever believe you. Know your worth. Chipotle can't be brought down by a negative Yelp review. Chipotle couldn't be brought down by E. coli. Your negative Yelp review can't do anything to Chipotle. No one goes on Yelp to find out how a Chipotle is. They go to find out where a Chipotle is. The only way a negative Yelp review could stop me from going there would be if it said, hey, this isn't actually a Chipotle. It's just a Baja Fresh in disguise. You just show up, it's like, you got me. Baja Bowl? Here's how much my opinion about that place can't change. One time I went to Chipotle and I got food poisoning, and I blamed myself. I was throwing up, and my roommate's like, what happened? I was like, I guess I just ordered wrong. I don't know.